Welcome to the Gooder Podcast, where we talk with powerhouse women in CPG about their journeys to success. This episode is sponsored by Retail Voodoo, a brand development firm guiding mission-driven consumer brands to attract new and passionate consumer base, crush their categories through growth and innovation, and magnify their social and environmental impact. If your brand is in need of brand positioning, package design, or marketing activation, we are here to help. You can find more information at www.retail-voodoo.com.
Hi, Diana Frike here. I am the host of the Gooder Podcast, where I get to talk with powerhouse women in the food, beverage, and wellness categories about their journeys to success and their insights on the industry. This episode is brought to you by Retail Voodoo. Retail Voodoo is a brand development firm. Our clients include Starbucks, Kind, RAI, PepsiCo, High-Key, and many other market leaders. We provide strategic brand and design services for brands in the food, wellness, and beverage industries. So if your goal is to crush your competition by driving growth and disrupting the marketplace with new and innovative ideas, give us a call and let's talk. You can find out more at retail-voodoo.com. Okay, today I get to introduce Dr. Angela Zeng, who is the founder and owner of Carviva, a wellness beverage brand. Dr. Zeng, I'm going to call you Angela. Angela has over 17 years of experience within the functional beverage and juice industry. Her passion for natural healing is rooted in her strong belief in traditional Chinese medicine and herbal sciences. Angela's heritage in and passion for Eastern medicine, combined with her education and experience in modern medical research, motivated her to create something new for consumers that we are going to learn more about today. Well, welcome, Angela. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Dan. Really appreciate this opportunity. I always enjoy your podcast and the blog articles I receive every week.
Nice.
Sometimes I would read them in my bed.
Wow.
I always learn a few things, but it's a fun reading. It's not like one of those reading which will put you into sleep, Yeah.
Well, you are a learner. I think you are a learner.
Yeah, I love to learn. I'm a lifelong student.
Yes. Where are you today?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. The heartland. Yeah, mm-hmm. Midwest.
And now we originally met on a BevNet related event. Has it been 2 years now, or has it just been a year? I can't remember.
Great question.
I think it might be 2 years now.
Yeah, maybe. I think the COVID kind of wiped out our track with time.
Yeah, I think you're right. My last 2 years seem to be a blur. Well, that was a fun experience. And I know that we have many connections out in the industry, and your name comes up quite frequently, pretty well respected, particularly in the functional beverages. So it's really fun to hear people go, have you met Angela Zeng yet? And I'll say, as a matter of fact, I have. So that's been fun.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear that. One thing I was told is our name travels much farther than we would, and it's exactly right. So think twice what kind of actions you want to take, what legacy you want to leave, right?
Yes, for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about your brand. I always like it when a founder owner especially gets to tell us all the fun parts of their brand. So tell us, what is Carviva and what does it stand for?
Yeah, great question. So Carviva, this is actually the new name of the brand. It used to be Karuna. So Karuna is a real word. It's a word that means it comes from the ancient Indian is kind of religion-ish, right? So it's one of the four foundation that Buddhists would practice. It basically means compassion. And the rationale behind it is without compassion, one would never have happiness, internal peace. I mean, it makes lots of sense, right? I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at the world we're in now these days, compassion is one thing we're lacking. I mean, unfortunately, because I mean, we can spend another hour to talk about it. The highly processed food has a big reason to do with it. Seriously, there's scientific proof that a
Oh,
region of our brain unfortunately got shut down. We're kind of surprised because processed food cause just inflammation and other
yeah.
issues in those areas. And one
Yes.
of the consequences is as a result, the modern human beings like to make decisions more like impulsive decisions or more like just add because I'm hungry now. I want to do something instead of kind of calm down, think a little bit, and then take action. So, but the brand was under Karuna for since 2017 when I started the line, and we started to roll out a new line of product that's the sports recovery juice
Oh,
under Carviva. The reason is people say, why you have two brand name? Back then, of course, I didn't tell them. The real reason was not because I don't like compassion anymore, because when you try to expand, I'm sure you know this better than I do, a consumer product like this, nationwide, you don't want to infringe someone else's trademark,
right.
right? And Karuna is a real word. That means you cannot trademark a real word. It'll be nice if we
Right.
can trademark a real word that it's mine. No, we can't do
Right.
that. So just out of respect of the law, right, I had to basically come up with a new name. And Carviva is the word I made, right? So I can trademark that, is Karuna plus Viva. So it's actually pretty in line with
Oh,
our philosophy. Karuna, compassion, it comes from Far East. Viva actually is an Italian word. So probably you have heard Viva Italy or whatever, it means long life. Long life, happiness, kind of positive, things, vibes. So compassion leads long life. So
I
that's
love
the new
it.
brand name. Yeah.
I love it.
So I kind of threw out the sports recovery juice brand under Carviva. Just want to see how consumer will react this name. I think most people can pronounce that much better than Karuna because it's an Indian word.
Mm.
And I got questions from my Indian friends all the time. Is this your nickname? We just didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a very popular lady's first name.
Yes. I interviewed Karuna Rawal, actually, who is a CMO over at, what is the name of that company? In Chicago. It's Nature's Find. It's a mushroom brand, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'll send you the link for that a little bit later. That's fascinating what they're doing with that. Basically mushrooms that they found growing within volcanoes that have these amazing health benefits to them. So I'll send that to you a little bit later, but let's talk a little bit more about you. So Karuna, Carviva, where did this product idea come from?
Yeah. So basically, it's not just I'm sitting there in my kitchen and say, hey, I got this tasty remedy recipe. I need to find a way to make money out of it. It's not like that. Nothing wrong with it. I know that could be the incentive.
Lots of people
many food and beverage entrepreneurs go for your dream if that's what you want. So for me, my path wasn't even on making food or producing drinks. Was really heavily rooted in medical research. That was the reason I moved to this country back in 1996. I came here to this country to study my PhD in pathology. At St. Louis University Medical School here. I spent 5 years there. My project was mainly focused on endothelial cells. So basically it's related with cardiovascular disease. I have my research grant from American Heart Association, fortunately. And then after that, I went to Northwestern Medical Center. I was a postdoc fellow there. Again, study cancer cells, how they move, at cellular level. So basically, it's fascinating studying them under the superpower microscopes, electronic microscopes, and treat them with different things and see what would they do inside their skeleton. So cells are like human, they also have their own skeleton system. Fascinating, right? But that was my research topic. But I feel like deep inside, I'm always entrepreneur. I don't know, maybe my family gene, my father's family is all in business. He's an engineer, outlier, and my mom is pretty much the same. So I always wanted to do some business when I was little. And the other thing is, I'm just like a deep believer or super passionate about traditional Chinese medicine. I mean, basically, what happened was when I was about 5 years old, my mom took me to this herbal shops just to get her herbal remedy prescription filled. It's like you go to Walgreens or CVS to get your doctor's prescription filled. Instead of, putting the white pills in a bottle, I saw the herbal pharmacies, pulling out those little tiny little drawers and use this very cute and kind of scale, weighting them and put them like 5 different bags, compile them together, and then just told my mom, go home, boil them in water in this, kind of special clay pot for 2 to 3 hours, condense them in like one, whatever, certain kind of volume, and you just drink it, and it sounds like magical. You're supposed to feel better after 5 days. Okay, super. And I was like, all right, this is my toy.
Oh my goodness.
Back then I didn't have any, that was in the old days in mainland China, there was no Barbie doll, nothing.
Oh,
so that
my
was
goodness.
my toy. That was my toy. I started to collect, little herbs in the yard, climb up mountains, kind of just testing different things.
Really?
It was fascinating. I used myself as the guinea pig. Because of that, I went to New York 2 times. Seriously, don't try to overdose yourself, even with medicinal herbs. Some of them can be super strong. Seriously, my mom's like, don't randomly put things together and drink.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
But because of that, I collected many, many remedies, not just, self-learned, but I even used some of remedies, put them in my, doesn't matter, the blood vessel cells culture or the cancer cells, just totally out of curiosity. I would never let my mentor or research the laboratory boss know. It's like, I'm testing secret herbal stuff on cell culture. But it's something I love to do. And after my postdoc fellowship, I come back to St. Louis. I was in Chicago. I come back to St. Louis. I went to Washington University in St. Louis for the MBA training. Crazy enough, right? Lifelong student.
I understand.
And after I graduate, my husband's like, you got to start work again. You can't just be in school forever. I'm like, okay, I got it. I can't be in school forever. And I went to work at a pharmaceutical company in their business development, pipeline management division for quite a number of years. Through that, I was like, wow, we got so many products in the pipeline. I mean, pharmaceutical product treatment methods. But if you look at, different disease, the incidence rate, the prevalence rate, you see this kind of, like in cells, you would love to see that, right?
Right.
I'm like, what is going on? We're supposed to treat people better, right? You would think people become healthier.
Right.
It's totally the opposite. There's something going on. And I'm just a person always curious about, whenever I see this, I start to dig deeper into it. And I had a chance, again, I'm a person just has a broad range of interests and also friends as well. I had a chance to help a Chinese family that my family knows, to help them to take care of their apple juice concentrate business in the States. Just help them a little bit because they want someone who is trustworthy. They don't want to trust,
Right.
anyone they hire. They just want. It was like, I don't even know I have time. So I helped them basically whenever I could. And I was like, oh my gosh, when I look at how the apple juice concentrate were used, I'm like, I got the answer, because I already know processed like sugar, when we overconsume that, is so bad for us.
Yes.
Through the medical research, all those training I got. And I'm like, this is just wrong. And then I still remember when I saw the first line of cold pressed juice come out, I was like, hooray, this is good, much better, healthier, not so sugary. But one thing is, again, my curiosity, I started looking into how they produce that.
Yeah.
I think their initial incentive is great, is to provide a healthy alternatives compared to the traditional like apple juice or orange juice.
Yeah.
However, the way of production is so wasteful. The production yield is less than 30%. Again, because of my culture background, when I was in kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher won't allow any kids to leave the lunch table until you finish whatever in your bowl, lunch box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you threw away more than 70% of the fresh produce to do what? I'm like, do you make another product? Do you use it for? The best they could do is donate to some farms as animal feed.
Right.
Most actually went to the landfill.
Really?
Again, when those food waste is actually the numbers third, it's the third factor causing pollution, methane pollution in the air. So I'm like, this is so wrong. Can we just improve the process, right? You want to have a healthy product? Hooray, we can do it. But can we make the process better? That's why I started to get curious. I started to, I'm thinking, I know so many remedies. The different, like, especially using food to improve health.
Yeah.
Food recipes, drinks recipes. Can I commercialize them? Finding a way to produce them that's much more efficient naturally, and then make consumer can easily, access them. Because basically, one thing I think, which when we chatted a little bit, it is true. Lots of food makers don't want to just pack, whole food and then sell them, because where is, when you're in business, you always ask, where is the value added steps?
Right.
What have you done to add value to your final product?
Right.
Okay. So, well, if I'm just packing them, it's not fancy enough, not exciting enough for investors. Then, if I do 10 steps of chemical process thing, it becomes super scientific. And then, I can apply, IP protection on them.
Exactly.
And charge a premium. That becomes almost like making a branded drug now, right? So again, but it's not good for our health. It's not good for our health. It's not good for our human health. Not good for the planet health. So I'm like, but there has to be a way. What would consumer want, instead of just simply packing whole food into a box or into your bottle? Well, how about I source the ingredient has proven health benefits, both from users for a few hundred years, as well as backed by research. Because in research, I learned there are actually lots of study, not clinical study, to show why, like consuming more green vegetables or blueberries is good for you. I can pinpoint to the molecular level. There's a reason behind it, scientific speaking. So can I source them from different places and put them into a simple recipe? And then I don't have to use the kitchen sink approach. Instead, synergy, because there are food synergy among different food groups.
Yes.
Basically, it's a mindful production, it's a mindful formulation. That's why I started the line. Initially, my incentive was really simple. It's something healthy, something that's more efficient, efficiently, eco-friendly produced.
Yeah.
Because I just hate wasting. That's it. I mean, to me, wasting is a sin. It can potentially bring me to hell. I mean, that's what I was told when I was little. Sorry, but
no, that's okay. That was the
told my
same in
kids
my
not to
household.
waste
Yeah.
paper because I was like, why would I waste paper? That's like cutting tree for no reason.
Yes.
It's the same. It's the same thing. If you can't eat it, then don't take it. I mean, simple. So
Exactly.
Anyway, so that's the reason behind Carviva line. The fundamental philosophy never changed. We changed the package, we changed, even the brand name now, but the foundation, the philosophy never changed.
That's awesome. So such an interesting background, because, I think a lot of people, particularly in the United States, my parents are immigrants, and growing up, it was very much ingrained into us around waste. Eating food close to its natural state was pretty much what we did. Being a kid in the 70s and 80s, our family was the weirdo because we didn't eat bologna and Wonder Bread with mayonnaise sandwiches. And now, because that was the thing, we ate rye bread made out of an oven and Whole Foods and all that sort of thing. So very, very interesting to kind of remind people that it really wasn't that long ago, frankly. CPG started really ramping up in the 60s and 50s and 60s post-war.
Yes.
But prior to that, we were eating a lot of these whole foods. We weren't wasting a lot. And it's really tricky being in the CPG industry because on one hand, you have to grow your business, which means selling more. On the other hand, where how much more becomes just wasteful. And it's so hard, that tension there, right? It's very hard.
It is. There's always intrinsic conflict there.
Yeah.
I mean, when you grow nationwide, one issue I cannot avoid is you start to have more carbon footprint emission because your transportation, just goes beyond, even regional level. On the other side, you also have to think about, I think it's a balance. If I do this, can I do something else to offset that negative consequences I bring?
Right.
But if you only thinking about business as how I improve the profit line, nothing wrong with that. Public trade company, that's their top number one priority. However, you may fall into the old pattern. You will never jump out the box and think differently because, that's the proven track, record I should follow. If I do this, therefore, I will see my sales improve by 10%, right? They always say, what is your ROI? What is your expect? I mean, how do you do a forecast? Ideally, someone else already done that.
You and me, sister, I'm the same boat. Yes. Somebody else has got to have done it for me.
Maybe it's risky. Maybe 90% chance it won't work. It's like, 90% chance won't work. So, but if 10% chance work, you may be great. Who is willing to take that 10% or even less than 10% for a small group of people? But we need those people to make the whole thing better.
Absolutely.
It is true. It is true. So I would say this industry is still a little bit, I would say still very traditionally run.
Yeah.
Compared to high tech.
Yeah.
Or even the medical field, right? But on the other side, I do see that because of consumer people's, desire to have healthier food, food that's better for everyone, for the planet, I see more small brands jump into the water and start to, try to find different ways. And that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to say that this is, you were so kind and you sent me a sample set of products. And I've got this one here, this immunity one. I really like the flavor. I drank all of the ones for those of you that listen on a regular basis would not be surprised. There's a version that has a wine flavor influence to it. And I think I got 2 or 3 of those. Those are all gone. So I'm now moving on to the next flavor. And this one is, you wouldn't even guess with how it's got this prebiotic fiber and antioxidants. And quite frankly, the sugar content is pretty low. It's pretty great. I mean, considering, the fact that it is a fruit based.
Yep. Again, I think one thing you just mentioned about fruits. I personally love fruits. I love vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a vegan per se.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mainly plant-based, but I do eat some animal, whole food.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing about the recent trend about low carbs make lots of consumers scared, or they kind of misunderstood what exactly the low carb diet means.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you should totally deprive yourself from food containing carbohydrate.
Right.
Because vegetables contains lots of carbohydrate, fruits contains lots of carbohydrate, fiber is a type of carbohydrate. And then the natural sugar bonded in those fruits are very different than processed sugar.
Right.
So what happened is because they are bonded, they're kind of trapped because the sugar, natural sugar, glucose, fructose are trapped in, kind of mash of matrix, like those are the natural fibers, different kind of things, molecules. It takes your body much longer time to digest that instead of if you just use canned sugar, put it in your water or coffee, is very different. So
interesting.
It's very different. So deprive yourself from carb. I always mention to my friends, don't do the low carb diet unless, because the keto diet was developed in the medical field for epilepsy patients that had no other medical treatment way to improve their symptoms. And a physician actually back in the 70s tried a keto kind of high fat diet and saw some improvements and become one of the alternative treatment methods for epilepsy patients. But again, our body, especially our heart cells, brain cells, are built to burn glucose. So when you deprive your body from those, there are some consequences. You can try that for a week or 2 just to see how your body reacts out of curiosity, but not for the long run. The other thing about complex carbs is so rich in beans, legumes, whole grains. It contains lots of natural vitamins, minerals, in addition to fibers. And, fibers, we have fibers is just a lump sum group of many, many different molecules. Prebiotics are one grouping in those. Probiotic essential for our life.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So
gut health.
That's the reason I focus on prebiotic. For me, again, back then I want to do something. It's almost like initiate a spark of fire so other people can see it.
Yeah.
I was hoping people would copy me. And I'm glad there are more and more prebiotic drinks and food out there because it's one important nutrient that has been neglected for so long in the consumer field.
Yeah.
And it's causing so much health problems.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, so when you first started this brand, or it might be even more recent than just the beginning, how did you know you were headed in the right direction?
By talking to and listen to the people I serve. It's not about what I learned. Of course, experts like you, I enjoy talking because I'm not saying, the VC folks are bad or I have a particular issue with them.
Of course. Yeah.
But, their incentive is very different. They can be consumers too, right? I love everyone to become consumers of healthy food and drinks. However, it's not about talking to those folks and say, hey, am I on the right track?
Right.
It's talking to the average people I serve. I want my product to be used and see a difference of their day-to-day life. So when I first started the 2 years, I lost count how many in-store sampling People joke about you're eager to sell a product. Yes, I'm eager to sell a product. Of course, I want to do
course you
business.
are.
But on the other side, every conversation I had there was basically a data point of my own market research. Is I basically asked them what frustrates you, when you pick food. I have depends on the person. I have a standard of questions I ask. I want to collect certain kind of info, and that info can change depends on the stage of my business. I want to make sure what I'm doing is in line with what they want.
Gotcha.
And if I'm doing something they don't want, why should they pay for my product?
Exactly.
Sometimes I get free samples of skincare or whatever. I store them away. I'm like, I don't care if it is free or not free.
Right.
Is that something I need? Right. I mean, again, I think when you roll out a product, it's not because so and so make tons of money out of it. That's not your reason, because so and so make tons of money by doing a sparkling functional drink. That doesn't mean you're going to do a sparkling functional drink and you're going to make tons of money.
Right.
That's totally different. Unfortunately, people always like to do that. Oh, because someone else did it, therefore I have this better remedy. Everyone thinks they have the best recipe. Just like we're moms, right? We always think we have the best kids in the block.
No, but I really do have the best kids. So
I know, me too, right? The moms, whatever. We need that to keep our days going, right?
We need this. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, I'm curious what it's like for you in maneuvering kind of a younger growing brand within the beverage industry. The industry itself is pretty homogenous, still kind of male dominated for the most part. And I'm curious how it's been navigating. Are you able to find people opening doors for you? Are you finding mentors through this process, or has it been a little bit more of a slog?
Great question. Lots of challenges along the way, but I think I was blessed to have people, and most of them I know turn into friends, like someone like you, who is willing to share their wisdom with me. Not just, I love to hear criticism, because that's the things to keep me, kind of improve myself, keep me going. I don't view them as unnecessary negative things that upsets me. But on the other side, like you said, it's the industry. What I learned, very hard to differentiate your brand and your products, because there are not many things you can do, right? All the low hanging fruits are gone. But again, life is never easy. As a mom, right? I always tell my kids, life is not easy. You always want, if I do a little bit this, therefore I'm going to get out. I'm sorry. It doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, don't wish.
But on the other side, that doesn't mean things cannot be done. Again, you have to listen to the people, the consumer you serve, right? Understand who are you serving is the number one thing. You're not serving everyone. We cannot serve everyone. So it's okay when you started a line of product with a very niche target, groups, but listen to them carefully. What they want, what frustrates them, what they're happy with, products they're already purchasing, what they are not happy that they are willing to see, a new product to come out. And as you said, that's how you find differentiation that matters. You don't want to do differentiation that doesn't matter, right? And then the other thing is, you mentioned about this industry has still heavily managed and driven by, it is too. And that's not even, I will say that's pretty common across many other industry. But in this industry in particular, I find very interesting is, I can give you an example, right? We are certified women-owned, also minority-owned. Those certification can serve both ways.
Yeah.
Depends on the buyer you talk to.
Yes.
Let me give you one example. So my business is also certified by the, as Asian American, kind of minority group owned. A buyer A may say, wonderful, I need to diversify my product offering for my shoppers. I'm going to give you a try, or I will consider at least, set up a call, try with samples. Some buyer will say, oh, well, that means are you serving the Asian shoppers only?
Oh, really?
It's almost like a glass of water. Someone would view it half glass full. Someone would view it. I mean, not like that directly,
right?
But you can feel that's pretty much you will be pigeonholed because you're a women business owner. So that happens in politics too, right?
Yeah,
and politics, large corporation, people would think women has a scattered mind. We like to think many things, and we sometimes can be a little bit emotional. That is definitely pigeonhole stereotype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Men supposed to be like making firm decision, good decision, because they are pressured to do so. Women can be pressured to make many decisions too, but we do have to consider many things. We do consider I would say the emotional intelligence is probably, for most women business owner, much higher than the than the male owner, right? Because something is not about how much you pay the staff to keep them stay and work as a team. It's how they feel.
Yeah.
It's how they feel working for this brand.
Yeah.
Again, I think is through constant education and then finding the buyers or give them the piece. You have to try everything. It doesn't matter. You can say, well, sorry, you guys, your corporate had asked you to have a diversified program. You have to consider a women-owned brand, or you have to consider minority-owned brand, right? Can you give it a try? Or, you just have to find all kinds of ways. But the real statistic data, I don't know about a consumer product. There's several data I saw in the past. One was in the past when I was in business school, and that picture hasn't changed, is 95% of the business VC investors. I'm not saying VC only in food and beverage, across all the industry, 95% are white males. They would invest in white male business startups versus female or minority. Dramatic. That data is just shocking because you know why? They say it's a human psychology, almost like psychology, because all those business or whatever, they're run by those type of people, and they have more confidence or trust of someone look like them, think like them, grow up in similar culture background like them to run a business. It is true. Well, but obviously, if you look at the business success rate or startup rates, I would say more than half of the business in the States are started by women. However, we contribute less than 10% of the sales overall. That's just a huge, you can say, it's probably because most of the women-owned business are very small, right? Small, maybe you can say like a flower shop or hair salon or a little restaurant cafe, a business, but, owned by a woman, whatever. But obviously compared to Fortune 500 large company, how many CEOs are female? You can count them with your fingers. So I think that's why. But again, is the stereotype. It's just like, in school, lots of girls feel like, oh, I'm afraid of math. No, you should not be afraid of math. You can do exceptional well in math. Have confidence in yourself. Don't feel like math is not for girls.
Yeah, I think a little bit that, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I feel like there's some training going on. When I look at the younger generations, I think there's a blending. I think the stereotypes are starting to go away.
Yes.
And a lot of what we feel has been trained into us culturally through education and just through being in business. I'm hoping I'm really hoping, I'm looking at my kids who are all fit neatly in Gen Z. I see a different language and a different way of relating with other humans than I've seen in all of us previous generations, millennials.
You said it so well. I can see, I mean, what the topics my kids are learning in school make them very, becomes a thinker that really consider other people's feelings and also really, diversified culture background. I mean, people always say, well, because lots of corporations are doing that just because it looks good on paper. Again, whether it looks good on paper or indeed it adds benefits. I can tell you, indeed, it adds benefits, because think about the culture we're in now these days. Is very multi-phase. People, we are a society of freedom. That means people supposed to have the freedom to worship whatever different religion they believe, whatever the culture or the music or arts they love, and supposed to start a business they want. But if you're very uniform, you're actually surprising all those. That's what happened. I don't mean to criticize the communist system. That's exactly, if you study the Chinese history, why the period that has the most innovation flourished period was many, sadly, thousands of years ago, because the society was very open, embraced different groups, different should not say minority, but in certain way. And then once that power becomes centralized by the king, emperor, they start to surprise everyone that didn't think like them. It's like, no, you should only listen to me. I'm the God telling you what to do. And that's the problem with communist system too. It kills productivity, it kills innovation. I'm not saying productivity can be super high. Innovation super low, because people are afraid. If you're doing something different, you're like, I'm killing you.
Oh my
because
gosh.
You could initiate a rebellion against the mainstream. So what is the definition of mainstream? I mean, same thing with food. We always say eat a rainbow color of food in your place. Because our body, and people don't think, why we need different color of food. Simple, because you want to feed the probiotics, those little good bacteria, even virus, can say the certain way, they're like little creature living inside our body. They're good ones. Good ones means they produce all those cellular signals that actually go to our brain and tell us what to do, what to think, how to think, those kind of things. But they are so diversified. It's not about only 10 strains of probiotic. Those are the ones heavily studied. When you see those supplements, there's so many of them in our body. They each have their own preference in terms of the food they want. They all want fibers, though. Remember that. That's why it's called prebiotic. And then prebiotic plus probiotic becomes postbiotic. Because people say, what is postbiotic? It's like group of the metabolite side products generated by those good bacteria. It serves as messengers. It helps our body to function normally.
Interesting.
Yeah. So when you are very, like for kids, very picky eater, we try to encourage them, don't be picky eater, and there's a good reason for it.
Yeah, that makes
same
a lot
thing
of
with
sense.
the culture. You don't want just hear the one voice. It becomes extremely dangerous in the long run. In the short run, you may see some benefits because you say something, everybody say yes, yes, yes. You have lots of yes men around you.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is a whole other, you and I will have to start our own podcast to talk about that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. This is awesome. Now, I'm wondering, we had this really fascinating dialogue before we started recording about this concept of plant-based diet versus veganism and animal protein analogs, and how it's impacted American diets, kind of not in the way that we've kind of been led to believe. And it's kind of along the line of this probiotic, prebiotic, and now this postbiotic that I've never heard of before. So that's right. I'll have to investigate that. Can you just, I don't know if you can just kind of give us your high level on this concept of, what have we done with food by coming up with these food kind of diets or diet plans, and then turning the CPG industry so focused on them? Like, what are we doing to the American diet or to the world diet by thinking vegan or plant-based is going to be the only way to live our lives?
Well, that topic, it deserves a whole section to talk about it because the consequences is huge.
Mm-hmm.
The consequences not just means you and me's health, right?
Yeah.
Every consumer's health. I mean, seriously, what you put, what we put in our body has the biggest impact on our health.
Yeah.
On how we feel, on our emotions as well. Well, it also has a huge consequences on the environment, and even on certain kind of social disability, or social stability. I would say, because you don't. Again, same thing. You don't want to have only one voice in a society.
Yeah.
And this society becomes, might be very stable for a very short time, but then the under pressure is going to grow and it's going to explode, and then you have this chaotic social kind of all the things, kind of we're in this period. I would say it kind of now, because I don't know what to say, because the kind of shift of different minority groups, the percentage and the culture, different culture, voice, it is true. It's very natural that what we see now these days. But on the other side, I always say, why you want to be a vegan? First, ask yourself. My friends always say, are you vegan? I'm saying I'm not. But even then, why you do plant-based? I'm saying I emphasize on whole plant-based, because whatever Mother Nature gives us, okay, I do personally, I do believe there's superpower in the universe. You can say, for someone that's Jesus, for someone is another God, but
Buddha or something.
Yes, yes, because there's so many things in the research or in the lab I couldn't explain, and there are lots of top scientists would believe that too. I don't know, that's again totally different topic. But again, whatever Mother Nature gave us, that's the superpower. We need to respect that. Don't think our human being a God. We're recreating the food Mother Nature already gave us. We should utilize the gifts from Mother Nature, utilize it wisely, efficiently. That's all. Don't overtouch it. The more hands we put on, the more human process to step goes on, we actually introduce more harms, not just to our body, but also to the nature around us. So same thing not just apply to animal-based food, like how we treat animals, how we farm, grow those animals. It's same thing, whether we should do man-made meat. Again, man-made meat is the same as man-made food, right? It's the same like lentils, right? Lentils is a beautiful, healthy legumes that if you talk to any medical doctors who believe nutrition has an impact on your health, would agree, would encourage you to eat it. But on the other side, you see lots of lentil chips. If you look at the ingredient, only a very small portion probably come from lentils, and then the other probably fillers. So that's again becomes a very heavily processed. It's a vegan food, but is it healthy for you? Is that good for the environment? You need to put a question mark there. I would always encourage, look at the real research data, not just Google say because someone said that, or a celebrity said that. I'm sorry, celebrities, they are great. They look awesome, but have they done real research work? Probably not. So I would say, again, if you choose to be a vegan for the health reason, then choose whole plant-based food. So either means you have to be really careful choosing the food that has minimal process, or you just have to be, hard work, kind of do lots of cooking yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it is too. I mean, or you can just be smart and you choose the right food from the store, and you can still be a healthy vegan. On the other side, if you want to be a vegan out of the respect of animal rights or save the environment, I have tons of respect to those my friends, and I personally love animals. One of the reasons I left research is I was getting a little bit just too much for me to handle using the animals to do experiments. And so I would say again, but when you do this, what's your way to convince the message is not to do the damage or force your friends to convert to vegan, because what you believe, again, is you need to, for everyone's needs is different. You may have friends who wants, who don't want to have heart disease because they have the family history.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to develop diabetes because they see their relatives or their parents have that issue.
Yeah.
Or Alzheimer or dementia becomes super common nowadays days, mainly due to food again. Then you can convince them by that approach, or you basically, for your animal love of, we want to kill less animal, is consume less meat. Very simple. That's it. If you look at the statistic data, how many turkey got raised and killed just for the Thanksgiving dinner, you'll be I couldn't even believe the data when my kids was doing that kind of fun fat for Thanksgiving many years ago. I was like, geez, so many turkey got raised and killed and then thrown into the trash.
Yeah.
And again, food wasting. Trash. I mean, because we want to commercialize everything. We want to make money, right? We want to make money. We overproduce them. And then it doesn't matter. I mean, we only have so many mouths. We can only eat so many turkey. I mean, gosh, it doesn't matter, Thanksgiving or not. And you cannot store them forever. They're big too, where trash. It is sad. I mean, if we can be very mindful in terms of how we produce things, how we formulate things, we can actually solve many farm animals may not necessarily needs to be produced. It's not the more the better. If you don't need to eat the whole chicken, don't eat the whole chicken.
Yes. Agreed.
I think that's the key. Is not just to say, I'm going to force you to switch from a meat lover to a vegan.
Yes.
It's not going to work. For most people, that's not going to work. There has to be a strategy behind. And I think produce the fake meat. I mean, the initial kind of, I would say, rationale behind it is good.
Yes.
However, now becomes a process that's very, I would say, just use a lot of, again, kind of the food science, kind of the traditional food science things. Now in the games again, that means heavily processed, lots of chemicals, because you want it make it taste and look like a meat. I'm sorry, plant-based food will never look and taste like a meat, because just like soy milk, our traditional soy milk would never taste like a milk.
Yes.
It's different.
It's different. It should be different.
Yes.
I mean, for me, I feel like I'm okay with it being different. I understand the rationale. Like if you make it look and taste and smell and like real meat, then you can.
But that's not the reason for you to eat it, right?
No.
I mean, the real reason you want to go vegan or plant-based is because for your own health and for the environment, then forget about it. Food has to look and taste like a meat.
Yeah. I think part of that is they're wanting to encourage people who are currently not eating a heavily plant-based diet to go that route. But it feels, I don't know, it's a little tricky for me. It's a little bait and switchy. you can't, how processed can these isolates get before they're not even a functional for the body? You know, they just become something that goes through the system.
Yeah, again, the problem with processed food, people always say processed food is bad. Most people would agree now these days.
Yeah.
The reason is it's the same thing. It causes the same immune reaction. Our body would respond to COVID virus.
Oh, really?
Is inflammation. I mean, acute inflammation in COVID is you feel sick right away.
Yeah.
After you get contact with the virus.
Yeah.
Here is different. You're putting in those chemicals in your body every day. Well, even though it might be small dose, over time it will build up. Your body is constantly have this baseline inflammation.
Gotcha.
So that's why over the long time we have diabetes, we have obesity is also a disease. It's actually a type of cancer now these days. You know, certain physicians would say it's because the fat cells, when they overgrow, it's like cancer cells keep proliferating and then they start to release. That's the why they were studying, you know, the obese patient have more severe reaction to COVID because those cells release those things that cause your body not reacting well. Yeah, it's sad, but it is what it is. So I would say less processed the food you put in your body, the better. On the other hand, the industry, like you said, they want to do something to justify why I want to charge this kind of price, why I'm selling it, right? Because nobody just want to sell a bunch of, you know, like lentils or legumes, you know, beans, you know, whatever.
Well, and I'll be honest, I like myself a Cheeto. I eat organic food. I eat close to the original food state, but I gotta have myself a Cheeto every once in a while.
What is also
it might be the death of me, but I love it.
Emotion, exactly. Yeah, it's a balance. Life is a balance. It's a balance. So you cannot deprive yourself from everything you love, right?
Yes.
But on the other side, you cannot be over kind of indulge, like, you know, again, candies, right? I mean, candies. Right. When I was little, I loved candies, but we couldn't get candies every day.
Right. It's probably good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Angela, I am so enjoying our conversation. Our time is wrapping up. So I want to ask you a couple of last questions that I like to ask everybody. And you've given us so much information. The first one that I like to ask is there kind of like I call it a happy hour fact or a tidbit, something that people can know about? Like, I don't know, that postbiotic, like what is a postbiotic and why should we care about it? Maybe that's what we should, you can tell us.
That's a great question. Great question. You are way ahead of the curve now, right? Maybe someone listen to that and say, are in R&D. Oh, that will be my new project. Well, postbiotic is basically, I have to say, you know, think about food. Food is, again, gifts from Mother Nature. And whether we feel healthy, we feel good after eating, is how our body react to the food you put in. It's not just food itself, it's the interaction between your body and the food. So what happened is the postbiotic, it basically is the product after probiotic interact or feed on prebiotic. So like I already said, prebiotic is a group of fibers that they serve as the only food source for probiotics. So the probiotic is like us, they need to eat. Those bacteria needs to eat. What do they eat? They eat certain type of fibers. That's their food that our human cell cannot utilize. But that's their food. They love it. They are like, every time when you feed yourself with like lots of fruits and vegetables, they say, hooray, you know, I have a big face now. And then what they do is when they chew those, the metabolite product they release, because like us, we poop, right? They also poop inside you, but their poops are good for us. Think about this way. It's messengers. Short chain fatty acids are one of their products. And that's essential for many cellular function. It can balance our hormone, it can impact our mood. It can basically balance your insulin level. It does many things. For certain cell function, we cannot function without those short-chain fatty acids. The other thing is certain kind of vitamins, our body won't be able to produce or absorb only after the probiotic digest the food they love. So you absolutely need that. Then you will say, how about the bad bacteria? The bad bacteria love processed food. On the other hand, they like sugar, for example. Yeah. And when they release the product, unfortunately, when they release whatever nasty words, right? They are harming your body. They're not doing your favor. They cause more food craving because they're smart. They're telling you, oh, those are the food I like. Go get another soda. Go get another big burger for me. Go get another, whatever, the deep fried or whatever things, chicken or whatever.
Yes.
So that's the postbiotic is the product that
interesting.
Probiotic to prebiotic or the stuff they like, they release these things which are essential for our physiological function.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Postbiotics. Everybody go check it out. All right. Now, I always like to know, are there any other women leaders or women rising stars out there in our industry or not that you would like to elevate or simply just give them a shout out for the work that they're doing right now?
Oh, gosh, I would say there should be many. I think there are many food and beverage product line initially started by women. I mean, locally, I know a couple, I think one of them are doing like a elderberry based product. Ooh. Another one, they're probably still, local.
Yeah.
The other one is a vegan cheese maker. A couple of, friends, female, ladies. And then nationwide, there's so many. I mean, it's just amazed me that I'm super encouraged. I think we need more women going into the food and beverage business, healthy food and beverage business, consumer product business. Because think about who does lots of purchase in grocery store.
Right. Right.
Moms and
yes, a lot.
And then even sometimes
mostly
you
moms.
send your husband into the store, they have a shopping list based on what you tell them, right?
Yes.
And we care about our families a lot, care about our kids and we care about their health. One day I saw a little kid, I love it. He was wearing this t-shirt saying, if you love me, don't feed me junk food. I'm like, hooray, where did you get that t-shirt?
That's awesome. I love it.
If you love me, don't feed my
junk food. You might need to make that t-shirt.
I know. We all need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have been talking with Angela Zeng, founder and owner of Carviva. Angela, where can people learn more about you and your company?
Our website, carviva.com, super easy. Karviva.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Angela, and I'm happy to once again spend some more time with you. I always enjoy our chats, and now other people can hear us and how we banter about. Pretty fun. And I want to thank all of you listeners for your time today. If you really like this episode, please share it with a friend. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time on the Gooder Podcast.
Thank you again, Dan, for the opportunity. I'm so enjoying my conversation with you. It's like chatting with an old friend.
Oh,
seriously.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe and share with your network. Until next time, be well and do gooder.